Welcome to the Calm the Storm, the Whimsy podcast, where we explore transformative ideas and practices from Kent and Heather McKean's The Metanoia Method.
In each episode, we'll dive into key concepts from the book, discussing how we can apply these insights to our daily lives and foster deeper connections with ourselves and others.
As we go through today's discussion, we invite you to think about how these concepts apply to your own life. Let's dive into our discussion.
If you're listening to our Metanoia episodes, get the book, because we talk about so many things and the time flies by and we can't even touch on half of what we have read, and it's just all so good. So I would encourage you that if you find good from these conversations that we're having, that you get the book for yourself. But last episode, we talked about how we hold on to the sickness, the trauma, the past, because that's who we feel like we are. That's our identity. So even if we could get well, we struggle to because we don't want to let go of those things. So the next question would be, why do we remember the bad so well?
The first line in this section says, have you ever felt like it's easier to remember negative events in your life as opposed to the positive ones?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Except
Now,
for,
yes.
but I don't know. What?
I said not all the time.
Yeah. I mean, I think it depends on if it's a specific event, then yes. But I also feel like I try to find the positive a lot in situations that are currently happening.
It's interesting because I find more things negative now than I did then.
Yeah.
So, like, I can find the negative real quick now.
Yeah. Which is why your word was positive.
Positive. And I'm really trying. Oh.
The next thing I highlighted was, but remember, our subconscious mind is taking in billions of bits of information every day. It is busy storing all the excess data that we might not be focusing on. This is how we function day to day. But when stress of any kind is introduced into the scenario, things get a little funky. Research has shown that when there is elevated emotional stress during an event, this leads to an impairment in the way we store and eventually recall memories associated with that event. Hence, details of unpleasant emotional events are remembered less accurately than details of neutral or everyday events. A common assumption behind this view is that a decrease in available processing capacity occurs at states of high emotional arousal, which therefore leads to less efficient memory processing.
Crazy.
So what the heck is true? What the heck isn't true? And how do you decipher what's what?
Crystal said we can have a conversation with our subconscious.
I do think so.
It's time to start.
It happens. It happens to me. But
you talk to like your family, they probably remember it differently than it actually happened, or it might be distorted and we don't know.
Yeah.
So this high emotional arousal part that leads to less effective memory processing, I think that's where I struggled.
Okay.
So I wrote, sometimes I would be on a complete energy high and I had no idea I was hurting others around me. In the moment, it was my experience that mattered. No one else existed.
Mm-hmm.
And like that happened over and over and over and over and over for me.
Okay.
I was like on energy highs. So like when I would go to youth group, I couldn't tell you anything that happened, like that was happening, except for the things that I was doing.
Okay.
And all of those things, because my brain was like on the overload of like high energy. Nothing else existed to me.
Yeah.
Which is so crazy and so wrong. No wonder I was so like, I don't know. I mean, it's hard for me to process all of those things.
So this part reminds me of you a little bit, Kelly, because like there's all kinds of things that I can point out about myself, but this little thing about remembering, like efficient memory processing, if it's emotional, like I have seen you, and I think this probably happens to a lot of us, but I've just witnessed it with you because we're always around each other. Mm-hmm. Someone will say something to you and I will watch them say it to you, like a kid, your husband, a friend. And then 2 seconds later, when we talk about it, it becomes a lot more mean or a lot more rude or a lot more sassy. And I'm like, I don't think that's how they said that to you, but because you were already frustrated or because past frustrations led you to automatically assume you're in a scenario that's similar to a past experience, you heard that way differently than how it was actually said to you. I think it's probably the same with my husband and his facial expressions. I cannot stand his facial expressions because I read into everything he looks, every way he looks. And it could be something that maybe wouldn't affect me in the moment, but because something triggers an emotional response in me, I see like, oh, he's disgusted by me. He's so upset about the house. He's this, he's that. And then when I ask him about it, he's like, I was thinking about who's playing the football game this week. Like, you know what I mean? So like, it's just funny that when there's an emotional piece attached, how you hear somebody talk or what you think you see in someone's face. And it's not accurate.
So do you think that that's your subconscious telling you that you don't like the way the things are?
What do you mean?
Like in your head, you're creating the scenario of my house feels chaotic.
Probably.
And so Chris must be experiencing the chaoticness of this. Like, I'm just curious.
Or the one time he got super upset about something.
Yeah.
In the way our house was.
Sure.
Now, every single time he makes a face, I'm like,
Yep, that's the moment right there.
It takes me right back to when he did get mad about something. And now I'm like, oh, you don't even know what I did all day. And you don't even know, like, and he's like, I was thinking about the football game on Sunday. Like, it's just funny how that happens. Or the one time someone was really rude to you about something. Now they're always being rude if something triggers that emotion in you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just...
No, I know. I think that that's true.
That's why I literally want to constantly say, what is true? What is true? What is true? Like, if we could process in those moments that before we react. But in the moment, you don't think like that.
Well, yeah. And how do you in the moment think like that?
I don't know.
Like, you can't, because you're just responding, right?
Unless we're saying that you can choose how you feel.
Well, I mean, I think you can. I do believe that. We just haven't gotten to that part.
It's so hard.
So we don't know what that looks like because we haven't experienced that. Because I believe the concept. I'm not saying that I'm good at it. It.
I don't think many people function like we're supposed to. Like,
no. And I think that we're taught not to function that way too. Because no one else functioned that way.
Yeah.
So no one functions correctly. So how are we supposed to function correctly?
Right.
So much.
It's so much. Our most traumatic memories are likely the most inaccurate. I remember the tick to a T. What happened?
Tell us what happened.
I was sitting here, scratched the back of my head, felt something in my hair, and I thought, that must be food or something, but I don't know why I'd have food. I literally just got out of the shower. That's weird. So I'm like, I hope it's not a tick. So then I pulled it out.
I hope it's not a tick. Okay.
I pulled it out of my head, and then I saw the tick, and I had this crazy reaction, jumped on the back of the couch, and started screaming as loud as I can.
That's true. That is all
Until
accurate.
Crystal came to save me because I froze on the couch, and I couldn't pick the tick up myself.
Yeah. While you screamed like a lunatic.
And while you laughed at me.
I couldn't help it. I'm so sorry.
But that moment just happened a few minutes ago.
Was that all accurate?
Yeah, I'm just trying to process if it was actually accurate that she thought it was a tick.
Right, I feel like that.
No, I did. And then when I saw the tick...
There's a part there that I'm like, why would it be a tick in the back of your neck? It could have been a spider.
A scab,
it could have been anything. I mean, there's other bugs that have been dive bombing us before.
But why would a tick be on my scalp?
Why would you have thought that it was a tick?
I don't know, because that's what's in your hair. Because Liza always comes to me and she's like, I got this thing in my head. Is this a tick? Is this a tick? So anytime I feel something in my head, I'm like, is it a tick?
I'm just analyzing it.
And then from my perspective, while I'm laughing, Crystal's actually like about to knock you out. She's like, stop.
What?
Stop. You missed that.
What?
What
was I supposed to do?
She said, stop.
I just want you to stop. Stop moving. We don't know where the bug
Stop
went.
screaming as loud as you can. Stop. And I just laugh while all of this is going down.
You like my child. Stop what you're doing right this moment. I won't be able to find the bug and know what it is if you don't stop.
Yes.
And now if I have to recall that tomorrow, it'll probably be completely different.
We should ask her the next time we record.
Oh, we
Tell us about the tick.
Tell us about the tick.
See if you add more to it.
Oh.
Now we all itch again. Thanks.
Yes, I started itching again. I've been itching for days, guys.
When we experience trauma, our brain becomes laser focused on the stressful or traumatic details of that experience. But because of the stress and influence of the various neurotransmitters being released, we will store the memory with less accuracy than how we experienced it. So when these memories are brought up for recall, they highlight only the most troubling aspects of the event, and we produce the stress hormones that were associated with it, essentially causing a state of stress just by remembering. Ironically, this further strengthens and flags this memory. The more we practice it, the stronger it gets. So it stands to reason that our most traumatic memories are likely the most inaccurate. Literally,
Man.
I wrote like a whole list of these things. I could think of stories that are probably not completely accurate that I
That's insane.
replay in my mind all the time. And every time I talk about it, I get fired up all over again.
Mm-hmm.
I'm mad about new things.
Huh.
And it says,
New things that are in those stories.
yeah,
Yeah. Or memories, I guess.
yeah.
Crazy.
So like the security guard story that
I was just going to mention that.
I tell over and over and over.
yes.
I think that I've gotten more mad at Lenny the more often I've told that story.
That he didn't do anything or what?
Because
He was nice.
Because he was nice. And then Kelly defended him and said, you would have got kicked out. And I just kept getting like, really? You are not on my side. And that
This is
probably
my
is not
story.
accurate. He was on my side. He was trying to diffuse a situation. But in my mind, he took her side. And Kelly took his side for taking her side. And see, that's what happens.
And then you create the story of
That is
he
not
was
even
never
accurate.
on your side.
Yeah, he didn't even care at all. He's never working with me again.
This is amazing.
And Kelly will not defend her husband over me.
Well, and how many times in a story like that, just that when you say that, when you do get angry, you make up things.
Then you get more angry because you stew
And then
on
you're
it.
like, and then this happened. And you're like, wait, that didn't happen.
And then your blood pressure gets high, and now you have a medical condition.
You said it. So if you don't say it again that way, then people think you're lying.
Right.
So then there's like, what's the story?
Oh, and every time that $5 bill gets more frustrating.
Did that actually happen?
That did happen. Recalling memories changes them, though. And that's
This
what we
is
just
exactly
talked about.
what we talked about.
Yep.
Every time you revisit a memory, that memory changes.
Yep. That's
So I'm 43 years old, and I have memories from young childhood that my dad and I and my sister, and we recreate and re-say every time. And I'm like, oh my goodness, this is how the fish got so big. Right?
Right.
Is that not how that happened? So you caught the fish, and then you recalled it to someone, and it got bigger. And then you recalled the story again, and the fish got bigger to the point of where you just won the largest fish
Yeah.
prize, and you never did. But because you recalled it, it just, I don't know, maybe it got more exciting, or you felt like someone was going to emotionally meet you in those moments.
Mm-hmm.
So if you got angry, you would be validated.
Yeah. Or
And
not
so-
validated.
Or not
Which adds more
validated.
anger.
So then you get more angry. So then the next time you're like, I'm going to add this to my story because maybe that will validate somebody.
Ooh.
Or
You don't even.
maybe if I tell this story, someone will like it better if the fish is bigger.
Oh my gosh.
What?
It says it turns out our memories recall process is like playing the telephone game
Terrible.
with ourselves.
So when you talked about like the sizes of things.
Yes.
So we drove past my elementary school on the way to Jiribasi.
Yeah.
And when I was a kid, kindergarten, I went to kindergarten there. Yeah. It was huge.
Right. Yeah.
The yard was huge. The seesaws were way back there. It was just so big. And we drove by it and I'm like, it's just the difference, like how it changes over time. Right. Like when I was in kindergarten, that building seemed huge and it sprawled forever. And it was just this big, huge property.
Well, I think then you were teeny then now, too.
I know, but it's just weird how like your
mind makes these
when you're little, it was this big, huge event and this big whole big thing. And then now that I'm bigger, I'm like, oh. So like just think about that with memories. Like when it happens, it seems like this big grandiose thing.
Right.
And then,
so this is I'm going to tell you one of the stories that gets bigger and elaborated from my dad and my sister and I and my mom's memories. Okay. When we had a boat, we used to travel on our boat, and we would go to we went to Canada and we went to Detroit and like all these different places. And we went to these like different, yacht clubs and things like that, because we were part of a yacht club. And so one time when we were when we were riding in our boat to Detroit, we had to go down the Detroit River, and it's an H. So if you've ever been on the Detroit River, one way is up and one way is back. And then there's an H in the middle, and you're not really supposed to use the H. So like, unless you have like, oh, I'm supposed to be going the other way or whatever. It's like a turning point thing. Okay. So we are in a line with 7 other boats. Okay. Our boat is the last boat. 7 boats are ahead of us. We're the 8th boat. I think actually it's wrong. I think there were 6 boats ahead of us. See, already.
Yep.
And we're the 7th boat. And this 1,000-foot freighter. Okay. That's how it was a freighter of some kind, for sure. A barge it was so high and big, but this is the point of where I'm like, how big was that boat actually? What actually happened in that moment? Because what we remember is that it came through the H where it wasn't supposed to come through. It cut us off, and it literally cut us off. So this is all of the same things that are happening. Cut us off. And the boat was pulling, so the freight was pulling water in. And so we were literally diagonal to it, or perpendicular, I don't know, right next to it. And my dad had to maneuver the boat out of the way because it was definitely pulling us in. Okay. So, how big was this boat? Like all these things are going through my head. Okay. My sister's sound asleep. Okay. Doesn't remember anything, but for some reason remembers everything.
Of course.
That happened, but she was sound asleep in one of our I think she was on the floor because we had like a hardtop, and she was like under the hardtop with my dad. And my dad was driving, and my mom and I were sitting at a booth over here on the left side. And our boat went down into the water and came back up, and water went over top of us. Like this actually happened. But in the story, it just gets bigger and bigger every time.
Right.
And so I'm like, how much water actually came over the top of the boat? Like this was an event that actually happened. But everybody who tells it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And so I'm like, this is not reality. I'm sure water came over the top of the boat.
Right.
I know that my mom was screaming, and my sister had a life jacket on. I had a life jacket on, and she was trying to get my dad and my dad and her life jackets out because we were going under.
Right.
And so that whole scenario just creates this environment for me that I'm like, what if that was actually true? I mean, I was there. I experienced it. My sister doesn't experience anything. She was sound asleep, but she remembers it all. So that's the part of where I'm like, does our memories get created by somebody telling us the story?
Yeah.
How much of that? I don't know. So
it's so funny how she remembers it.
Story.
Because she remembers it because you guys said it so
because
much.
We've said it so much.
It's an actual memory for her.
Ingrained in her as a memory.
When I was younger, my Aunt Julie, I don't even know what age difference we are, but she's older than me. And I was like a kid when she was in youth group. And she was a part of a singing group with my mom, led it. And she liked this guy, I think maybe dated this guy, sang a solo with this guy, and I liked him. And I remember being the one to sing the solo with him. And like, I liked him so much that I made her memories.
Who was this?
My Aunt Julie.
Okay.
I made her memories mine. So like, I told her something.
Oh,
like in my
gosh.
preteen years, I'm like, oh yeah, remember when I sang this song with this guy? And she's like, that was me. And I'm like, what? I remember doing it because I envisioned it being me.
It happened
Because I liked
you.
him so much. Yeah. I liked him so much as a kid and pictured myself being in her shoes. He literally, as a grown, like as a teenager, had to break up with me as a child because I was adamant that like he was my boyfriend. I will never forget, at least I think, he sat me down and was like, we are not,
Like,
we're not going to work out.
Not legal. It's a little awkward.
But my Aunt Julie,
Don't be telling people we've been singing and going on dates, and that did not happen.
My gosh.
like, she'll tell you, like, that was me. Like, we had a moment where I was like, remember this? And she's like, yeah, because it was me, not you. But I remember it being me. Isn't
That's
that
insane.
It's creepy.
I'm sure I have those same memories.
I'm never going to trust anybody again or myself. How do you know what's real? I'm like, we're in a scary movie, guys.
Is this table real?
Are we even here right now?
So weird.
Are we a part of a podcast?
Do we have a podcast?
It's crazy. And it says, if you think about it, it makes sense to realize we cannot access information from our past and recall it with the exact same thoughts, feelings, and ideas that we encoded it with, simply because we are not the same person from one day to the next.
Well, and it says on that same part, it says that our memories can't be relied upon to portray the truth of any situation. So there's no truth in our memories.
Come on, memories.
Come on, don't fail me.
I need to be able to trust you.
Like,
That's so
What?
crazy.
So if anybody comes to listen to Metanoia for help, anything you've gotten from us so far, the last episode and this one, we're all like, what is happening?
We don't got the help to offer. We are just figuring it out.
Hopefully the next chapter is telling us.
It'll help us. Don't worry.
And it also talks about the little girl, Crystal, you were talking about.
Like, I just find this so crazy. So it talks here, says, when I asked, so there's like a 30-year period of time that she was revisiting these countless memories. They had an extensive talk around trauma and well-versed in every aspect of this specific memory. And so it said, at one point, I asked her to go back and feel the feelings that a little 3-year-old girl would feel. When I asked what she believed the little girl had been feeling, she quickly gave me a few complex, articulate feelings: violated, manipulated, and worthless. And it says, I don't doubt for 1 second that my client was experiencing feelings of violation, manipulation, and worthlessness as she sat in my office recalling that memory. But I also know that a typical 3-year-old simply couldn't possess the emotional wherewith to express such complex feelings and emotions. What? That's like a well-versed trauma memory that you've revisited, like she said, 30-year period that you're projecting on a little 3-year-old you.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes I wonder, like, I'm not saying counseling is bad because I've gathered a lot from it, but then I wonder, as you've gone through counseling, different counselors might tell you different things, and then you believe that to be true, even if maybe it wasn't true.
Mm-hmm. So again, you're believing something that somebody's validating for you.
Yeah.
Because they don't know what's true either. You could go into this is the part of that blows my mind. I could go in, any of us could go into a therapy session and say, this is exactly what happened to me. And I could make it all up and go in there and get therapy and get validated.
Yeah.
Like, really? Like, this was like, I never even processed that ever before. Never even would have thought that somebody could just walk into a therapy session and say all these bad things that happened to them and they didn't happen.
Right.
So how do therapists
know what's true and what's
true
not.
and deal with that and when to validate and when not to validate and when to assess and not, like, there's so much.
I mean, no matter what, whoever's there with the issues that they're saying is having issues and need help with therapy.
Absolutely. And I think that therapists probably can see that we can't, you know what I'm saying? But like, you can, body language, eye movements. There's so many ways of like telling like what's true and what's not for them because they know how to assess that. Right. I wouldn't have any clue, but they probably watch all of the things.
Right. And
see that eye movement. So I wrote here, what would a 3-year-old experience? And then I just wrote probably cry and have no capacity to understand the actual hurt or pain. But this was a well-assessed, developed understanding of how you would feel as an adult.
Yeah,
like
because
for
she's
sure, she
been playing this over in her mind since she was 3.
Right.
So as the older she gets, the more she realizes what happened.
Mm-hmm. And then at the very bottom, this is still part of that. I just wrote in the bottom of my book, something being a bad memory until someone says or validates that it's hurtful or wrong. So like, how many times have we had like, oh, this is what happened to me in my life, and you didn't really think of it as being bad or wrong, and then somebody says, oh, actually that's like really hurtful and wrong and probably shouldn't have happened to you, and then you process it as being hurtful and wrong. Maybe it actually wasn't, but to them that it would have been.
Right.
So like, that just kind of scares me too. We have to watch what we tell people and how we say it.
Mm-hmm.
Or don't say anything at all.
Yeah.
Well, that's probably why counselors ask such an annoying question. How does that make you feel? How does that make you feel? How does that make you feel? And I'm like, I don't know. That's why I'm here. But they're asking that because they need you to figure it out for yourself and not.
So they can't tell you how you feel.
Right.
They can help you once you've said what you feel or the situation. But like, yeah. So is therapy... I've never attended a therapy session before. I feel like I have attended multiple therapy sessions since I've read this book with my subconscious. So that's the thing. I told this to Aaron the other day. I'll get back to my question, but I think that we have the capacity to be our own therapists. If we look beyond the things and to think and take down the walls and reach those heights of our brain that we've never reached before. So it's a training process. But so in a therapy session, for instance, I don't know what that's like. So is that the way that they handle things? Like they want you to tell them everything, like tell me what happened. So then how do they decipher what's real?
Well, I don't know because I've never thought about that before.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I feel like though that I've had good counseling experiences and then not good counseling experiences. But in the really good ones, they pull out like what it's stemming from, and then like how you feel like you're responding and why do you feel like you're responding that way. And then usually it has nothing to do with the here and now. It's all from things that have been stored from previously, and then give you tips and tools on how to deal with it going forward. Yeah. But I feel like a lot of what I've got from this when it comes to renewing our minds is like, we say things like you can captivate your thought or take captive your thoughts, renew your minds. But like, we could say that all day long, but nothing actually happens because I've always thought take captive my thoughts means like shut it down. But the book is saying like that is not what you're supposed to do, because renewing your mind is forgetting what lies or what's behind and straying towards what is ahead. But you have to go through a process to forget what's behind. You can't just shut it down. If you just shut it down, it's still there.
It's going to come back.
Right. Your subconscious is still like dealing with that all the time. So renewing our minds is not just ignoring it or shutting it down, but it's like addressing it, working through it, and then forgetting what's behind and focusing on what is good and true and real.
My head hurts right now.
I know. I don't want to jump too far ahead, so I'm sure that the two of you might go back a little bit, but the rest of this chapter is what really made me like audibly like sigh for my husband to be like, what are you reading over there? Because it was all about like a married couple, and the woman went to counseling with her husband and was basically ready to get a divorce. But like when the counselor asked why, she said, because I don't trust my husband and he's secretive and this and that, and I don't believe him. And when the counselor prompted her with, but why? She couldn't actually say why. It was just like suspicions or this or that. And then it all stemmed back to not trusting her dad and the time of her life that was triggering those things. And so like from an experience that her husband had nothing to do with, she was ready to walk away. And when I read all of that, and the counselor basically said, like, go back and revisit this. She said, at first, I attempted to react to my dad, who had no idea, like, about an incident that happened that is making me struggle with my husband the way I do. She said, I knew I could offer up forgiveness even if he was not sorry or validating my pain. But when they addressed it all, she didn't remember at all the story the way that it actually happened. And her dad confirmed what was true. Her mom confirmed what was true. Her brother confirmed what was true. And so the dad actually wasn't lying to her. He was taking care of her and protecting her in a scenario. But that memory made her never trust her dad again from age 7. And then not trust her husband now. And so when I read that, all I could think of was like, literally, I'm a talker. Like, I need to like express myself and go through things with people and get things off my chest. But now I'm like, there are way too many stories that I have talked about way too many times. That's making me question, how do I view certain people now or life situations now based on something that wasn't real from my childhood or a traumatic experience? And I literally wrote a whole list and then laid in bed until like 3:00 in the morning thinking like,
what was real about this?
What about this? What about this? What about this? Did I make it worse every time I thought about it or talked about it or felt about it because you only focus on the negative feelings you had? And that story was just about a dad who got his daughter a dog for the summer because she hurt herself, gave the dog back after the summer was over.
He borrowed it from a friend. Because the friend said the dog would help her.
Right.
So just have her a dog. 'Cause all the other kids are playing outside and she's stuck sitting around.
And it was a great summer for her.
Yeah.
And then a friend said to her, a neighborhood kid, well, they're going to kill that dog back at the farm.
Took it back to the farm, which it came from.
Right. And so while they're doing something nice for her, now in her mind, my dad lied to me and took my best friend away and killed this dog.
So
because somebody put that in her mind.
Right.
Yeah. So it says in here that Jan could hardly believe what she was hearing because her dad was telling her, like, what happened. Because the other truth had become so real to her. And I struggle with the other truth because my brain, or you hear something different, or you hear this from somebody, and then you focus on that truth that it becomes so real that that is the story that happened. So I struggle with that all the time. And your mind can play dirty tricks on you. So believing the other truth can trickle down so much that it causes so many issues for your entire life. Like, this poor girl was 7. Her dad should have been the hero.
Right.
And now her whole life, she didn't trust him. She didn't believe him. And they had a terrible relationship because she believed something that wasn't even true. It's crazy.
It is crazy.
None of that should have happened in the first place, but because of some kid said, oh, they're taking them to the farm. That's what they do with dogs people don't want because they take them and drop them off or they kill them.
And she wasn't taught or old enough yet to say, wait, what is true?
Yeah.
What is true?
Right.
So right before, this is part of this whole like case study and like the bad memories or whatever. And so it's interesting because it says it makes what is defining you. And so I just put here, do you want to be defined by the bad? So like there's so many negative things and we get defined by these memories that we have, the trauma. And so do we want to be defined by the bad? I said, be defined by the good. You don't always have to find the bad. And so I go back to a scenario where my good life, good memories changed for me into realizing, oh, bad things do happen.
Mm-hmm.
And it was in a scenario, in a situation when Aaron and I were newly married. And we were a part of this ABF, and then in the ABF, so it was like a young marrieds ABF. And so everybody had just gotten married. So like either getting married or within the first 5 years of marriage. So I think we were like a year and a half in to marriage, and most of the couples that were in this group were like a year and a half. We all got married like in 2006 or something like that. And so we got really close together and we were really good friends. And the one girl was like, hey, my mom and dad do this marriage class. Let's take it. Okay. And so it's a book study or whatever. And we're like, okay, that's fine or whatever. Not knowing that they had marriage problems. So not the parents, but the other couple that was looking for other people to like go into this group. They had marriage problems. And then there were like 3 or 4 other people who were like on the verge of like not making it marriage wise. And we didn't really know all of these things. So we go into this group and Aaron and I were like, happy go lucky. Life is good. Marriage is good. We love it. And we start like dissecting all of these things. Like everybody else has problems. So what is our problem? And so then you start like digging into these things and you're like, oh my gosh, we've got problems. And so like you reflect on all of these things that are bad. And I'm like, yes, that's good. But at the same time, I mean, it would have came out at some other point. So I'm glad that it came out in like a year and a half or whatever. And like our marriage was fine. It was rocky for the next 5 years. But like based on that scenario and that situation, it put in me all of the bad things that could happen.
Mm-hmm.
Had I not gone through that, I think that I would have lived in this hunky-dory, life is good, everything's fine, in an unhealthy way. Mm-hmm. And so like those moments where it brought out all those things it's just crazy because I feel like I could have just been, and sometimes I feel robbed. I'm like, oh, I was robbed of my hunky-dory life. Like everything's fine, but it's not fine. And so like I see all of that growth now, mm-hmm. but like, wow, the bad that we hold on to is defining who we are. Mm-hmm. And so like to create those scenarios where we create those scenarios. I went to that group not knowing that I actually had problems.
Yeah. There needs to be a middle ground.
Yeah.
Where everything's not hunky-dory. We can't hide from
all
life, of it. But we also can't be weighted down and constantly terrified of everything mm-hmm. or reacting to everything because of trauma that isn't even true.
Right.
Not even true. That's the scary part. Okay.
So I just have underlined, memory is not always reliable, and that many of our current issues are a result of unresolved past hurt.
Mm-hmm.
What the heck?
And I just added, that may not have even happened.
Right.
And
the
then
way
like
we
this,
remember, yeah.
Like crazy face that's like. So this chapter was a lot. So 9 was huge.
Yeah.
Never would have ever thought that memories weren't real or the way that they were recorded in our minds. And so I think that reflecting on all of that has brought out a ton of things. And so part of this chapter, there is like a growth opportunity. And so it just says to take this week to write out 25 memories that only bring joy, happiness to your mind, body, and spirit. And then how has this task been a driving factor for your emotional well-being this week? And so I think that if we do that, that starts to captivate our thoughts and renew our mind. Thank you for listening to a production from Family Simple Media and the CSW Podcast. Follow, like, and subscribe at CSW Podcast on Apple Podcast, Spotify, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube.